Welcome to the Crystal Coach Show with me, your host, Anahata, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, maybe disconnected? Do you ever feel like you don't know how to live a life of peace and joy? I am Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach, and during this show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. The Crystal Coach Show leaves you with a feeling of connection and the clarity it takes towards becoming the best version of yourself as you hear from thought leaders and many others to help you ignite the crystalline nature of who you really are. Stay tuned. The Crystal Coach Show starts now. Hello, greetings, and welcome to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata Roach, and I am the Crystal Coach. Well, today we've got kind of an interesting topic to discover and kind of ruminate on today. This is a topic that many people might relate to. It's about triggers and opportunities around reunions. Now, there's all kinds of reunions, right? There's family reunions, there's social club reunions, there's school reunions, whether it's elementary or high school or college, there's fraternity, sorority. But that those kinds of things have memories attached to them, and memories of maybe the last time you gathered together, or memories of when you were back in high school, for example. And that might trigger some dread or some memories of unpleasant situations that happen. Weddings and funerals also can, well, hey, even a scheduled lunch with a friend you haven't seen in a long, long time. That can also bring up these kinds of triggers of anxiety or fear or dread or, gosh, how is it going to go? The thing. And today we're going to talk about how maybe you might want to overcome, or you can overcome these triggers, or how do you reset yourself in order to enjoy the opportunities that these events actually bring, instead of dreading them. Maybe be able to look forward to, because you no longer feel those triggers, right? So I'm going to share some client stories and my own personal experiences. I just happen to have returned from a reunion myself, so that's kind of fresh in my mind. And I just want to be able to help you, give you some tools about how you can identify, clear, or maybe even neutralize those triggers that prevent you from being fully present for those opportunities. And, of course, there's always recommendations at the end of stones and crystals, minerals that you can use to support you if you want to work on this kind of thing, if you've got something coming up. Um, you know, eh, I know I'm saying this because I feel like if you are listening or watching this podcast and you have an event on your calendar that you feel kind of obligated to go, yet you dread the thought of going, I'm hoping that this show can help you, that this show will be something that you can take away with an ideal or a thought form or a new concept that you can experiment with and try to make the experience of going to that reunion and being with those people that not necessarily are your favorite people. Maybe some of them are, but not allowing that to color the whole entire experience for you, and be able to really be fully present so that you can connect with yourself and you can connect with others. So let's get started. One of the things that I find interesting, that's almost like a common thread among the clients that I see, and even in myself as I've done work on myself. I mean, the work never stops, right? Uh, and if you reach out to, or if you work with someone that isn't working with someone, uh, I would rethink that, because we are always growing. We are always striving to work on ourselves and to be better, right? I don't think in this lifetime, unless you reach a Buddha status of some kind of ascended master on earth, we are always learning and we are always growing, right? And so you can't ever say that you've gotten to a point where I know it all, I got this. And if you do, then start challenging yourself to learn something else, or learn more about the subject you feel very comfortable in. Stretch yourself, challenge yourself. And all means, if you start to recognize that there are triggers that are happening within you that you're not even, until you really feel like a trout to the fly, right? You have reacted to that. Oh, here it goes again. You don't have to follow that same line of perception, of thought, of feeling. You can stop it right there. The first step is recognizing, oh, I'm triggered. That's the first step. And the trigger may be just a kind of a feeling in your tummy, like that's a trigger. That's your body telling you, I don't know about this, right? Because your body may have a program that she's holding or he's holding that is saying, oh, this is not going to go well. Or, oh, yeah, I remember last time and how it felt, and I don't want to do this again. Overriding that programmed reaction. And it may be something that's really underneath all of that, a feeling of insecurity, or a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of not belonging. Even if you're a member of that group, there's a feeling of not really fitting in. Those feelings are things that were, and emotions that were set in place from whatever situation occurred. So it could have been years and years and years ago. Could have been like for a high school reunion, could have been when you were in your teens, and you're all grown up now, and you're still feeling those feelings that teenager that didn't have enough life experience to understand what was going on. And you're reacting from that place. See what we're saying? It's a different mindset. When you get older, when you have more life experience, and you know that someone else's opinion of you is really none of your business, you get to a point where you get more comfortable with yourself. And again, that comfort level has to do with whether or not, one, you've recognized that you need some help, and two, you've started working on that. Because I know some people that haven't had an opportunity to recognize that, and are still kind of stuck in, you know, the star status that they held in high school or in college. Um, you know, eh, uh, say, for example, a football player who was the star quarterback, and they won the national championship in college. That moment for that person is like the ultimate of their life experience, and everything else after that seems to fall short. And that's so sad because they are stuck there at that moment, or they are stuck, people are stuck in moments where they were either shamed or embarrassed or teased unmercifully. And they're stuck there with that resistance to growing within themselves. That makes sense. Part of what I do as the crystal coach is to help people uh, identify those triggers and then work to clear them out of the body and the physical, that not only the physical, but also all of the other bodies. As I've mentioned to you before, the physical is just one body. We've got the etheric body, which is the blueprint of the physical body, and the emotional body, and the mental body, and the spiritual body. So what's in the physical kind of filters out into all of these other bodies, and vice versa. Sometimes you can clear something from the physical, but if it hasn't been cleared by one of these other etheric bodies, then it still comes back into the physical after a while. It's not all the way cleared. So the opportunity that you have when you're in a situation where you have, you have to go, you're going to run into certain people. I mean, there's always an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or somebody, a sibling, some family member, some person that's in your group that you feel very at odds with, whether that's um, religious or political, or all the things you're not supposed to talk about in groups, right? um it The point is that if you look at it from a perspective of unity, of what do we have in common, we know the things that we don't have in common. We know the beliefs that we hold that are not in alignment with each other. But there's got to be something else that we have in common that we hold dear, each of us hold dear. And that's what you look for. And that's what you think about when you see that person. You don't think about, oh, I can't talk to that person because I'll get, that person will pull me into a conversation I don't want to have. Well, you don't need to be pulled into that. If you are comfortable with yourself, if you cleared enough of that old systemic belief out of you, out of your field, you know that, hey, I am my own self, and I am not willing to allow anyone else to manipulate me into doing something that I don't want to do. The stronger you get within yourself, the easier it is to either walk away or be polite and so good to see you. I've got to go now, kind of thing. Don't let it ruin the idea of the whole gathering, because there's going to be people there you really want to see. But if you're holding a fear of running into somebody you don't want to see, you probably will run into it, right? So why don't you instead approach the occasion with more openness and acceptance of yourself, and go into it with the idea that I I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. And I don't really need to share more than I want to. And if someone makes me uncomfortable, I have the autonomy to walk away. So that's the first kind of concept I wanted to introduce to you, is this concept of recognition, that you don't have to keep playing, or you don't have to keep reading the same script. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have to. It's almost like it's a scene out of a movie. And in Groundhog Day, you just keep doing the same scene the same way. How about looking at it as an opportunity to change the script, to rewrite those parts out of the scene that make you uncomfortable? We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to pick this up and I'll go into the second element of the triggers and opportunities around reunions. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hi there, Anahata Roach here at the Crystal Coach Show. Welcome back. We're talking about triggers and opportunities at reunions of all kinds. Even, from the biggest group to a one-on-one, and how to overcome and address the feelings of anxiety or dread that may come up at the very thought of doing, going to some event that you feel obligated to go, but you really don't want to. And the reason you don't want to doesn't have anything to do necessarily with everyone. It might be just one person in particular that you don't want to see. So the first step in trying to overcome all of this is recognizing when you have a trigger. And the second is doing something about it. Duh. Well, it's duh for me, but a lot of us don't do anything. We may even know, oh, here it comes again. But are we doing anything about it? Right? Are you consciously acknowledging that you have a trigger and saying to yourself, I'm not going to do the same thing again. I will be XYZ, right? Whatever the situation calls for. You don't have to keep following that old script that you wrote in high school that says, these people are better than me, or I'm not good enough to belong to this group. It doesn't have to be that way. When you recognize that that's the feeling you're having, the way to address it is to start the process of clearing it out of your system. And the way you start by process is, you can start by doing as much as you can for yourself, by affirmations, by practicing polite ways to excuse yourself, so that you don't need to be cornered literally by someone you don't want to talk to. The thing is that I want to have you understand is that the reason you don't want to talk to them is because you're running a program that is no longer relevant. You're running a program that was set many, many years ago, especially if it's triggered by your own insecurities. You know what I'm saying? And if you can do it yourself, that's awesome. If you need help, you could call somebody like me to help you get, literally remove it from your system. But first, there are things that you can do yourself. And as I say, you can practice ways to politely excuse yourself, to, you don't have to be rude. But then there's the other aspect of getting curious. Getting curious helps you to ask questions. Ask questions of that person. Maybe that person doesn't even realize that all those years ago, they made you feel less than or ashamed. They may not have even understood what they were saying or doing. And getting curious, if you have an opportunity to talk to the very person that you did not want to see there for all of the other reasons we just talked about, perhaps getting curious and asking that person, or even offering to that person, you know, I don't know if you were aware of it, but back in whatever year or whatever, frame the scenario. When we were talking, I felt put down by you. I'm wondering if you really meant to do that. You would be surprised. A lot of people would be shocked, like going, "What? No, I would never do that." But if that person really did mean to do that, then they might react in a way that they would excuse themselves from you, because you've called out. If they really truly were doing that and bullying you, you called them out. And so it's no longer a game. It's like, I see you, right? So the curious aspect of that, asking a question. Also, you can just get curious about that person's life. People love to talk about themselves, right? Get curious about what that person's doing right now. And maybe there might be a way that you can tie in the thing that happened to you in the past to the present, just based on what the other person was willing to share with you. Again, if that doesn't work, then you've got your polite excuse and you walk away. But the opportunity to resolve a unresolved moment in your timeline, it's too precious to ignore from my perspective. Yes, you have to be brave. Yes, you have to overcome your dread of interacting with that person. But if it helps to clear you, if it helps to make you feel like all those years you've been holding on to that, and I don't have to hold on to it anymore. How cool is that? How wonderful, how freeing. You're unburdened, you're uncoupled from that belief. It's a game changer. I've had it in my life, I've seen it in my clients. When you can get curious, when you have an interaction with someone, and then you determine whether or not that person really meant it, or if it was you had misunderstood them. Either way, you have an answer now. You have a way of dealing with that person. You can either forgive them or you can let them go. You see? I would always advocate for forgiveness, because you holding on to something doesn't hurt the other person. Even if it's hatred or jealousy, or the anger around resentment, the need to for retribution, anything that's that negative energy you're holding on to, that didn't hurt the other person, it just hurts you. Why do you keep doing that to yourself? Forgive yourself for whatever you want to forgive yourself for being there at the wrong time, as if that was your fault, right? But you can just I forgive myself for having interacted with this person. But then you can forgive the other person. like they are who they are. This is the way they are. And I don't need to carry that heaviness of what they did anymore, because they're never going to change, but I can change. The only person in this whole entire world that you could ever change or have an effect on, in terms of really knowing that the change is where the change is coming from, is you, right? It's you. Not anybody else outside of you. You cannot change another person. They're on their own soul path. They're on their own journey. They're experiencing what their soul came in to experience, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So focus on what you can change within yourself to uncouple yourself from that heaviness and that feeling of fear or dread or anger, whatever, frustration, resentment. Well, the list goes on. Whatever it was, whatever that situation was, it was a moment in time that you felt changed in a way that was not in alignment with your soul path. But maybe it was in alignment with your soul path to have that experience so that down the road you could recognize it and change it. It's all part of soul growth. It's all part of why we are here in this body at this time. Okay, well, there's the second way. Take another quick break. We'll come back with the third way. And then I've got some stones and crystals that we can, you can use to support yourself if you're going through this recognition and attempting some change for yourself. Okay? We'll be right back. Thanks. Hi there. Welcome back to the Crystal Coach Show. Anahata Roach here, and I am the Crystal Coach. We're talking today about triggers and opportunities at all kinds of group settings or even individual settings. Reunions is what was on my mind since I just got back from a high school reunion. And I have to tell you that the things that I'm talking to you about are things that I've personally experienced, and I've seen, I've shared with and viewed my clients having similar experiences with clearing out those old triggers and programs and feelings that prevent us from showing up and being present for ourselves and letting our light shine and being seen. And it's a game changer. I don't even want to tell you what decade I just came back from, because I can't even bring it into my mind in my mind, I'm 35 and I stay 35 for the rest of my life. But to think of how many years it's been since I was an 18-year-old graduate of high school, it really, because I don't feel any different, honestly. I mean, aside from all of the wisdom that I've gained from life experience, but my energy, my vigor, my enthusiasm for life is still as strong as it was when I was a naive little wide-eyed 18-year-old packing up and going to college. The way, if you are, if you're like in the beginning stages of your reunions from high school, for example, the 10-year reunion, the 20-year reunion, it's like you're still in high school, basically. But because all of the cliques are there, all of the same kind of perceptions are there. But as you start to get a little older, you get into the 30s and 40th reunions, you start to see how there's a sense of openness and acceptance. And even though there are those that hung around with each other in high school. They still interact with each other. They're making room for more people. And there's a I don't know if it's just, maybe that's called maturity, but the the you get to a point in life where you're just grateful to have the opportunity to see some people that you really enjoyed, and you have started to really look forward and enjoy them more, right? And even the people that you were not close to when you were 18, you might have interactions with them now that you go, wow, they're so cool. I, I almost regret not having and had any interactions with these folks when I was in school, right? Because we all grow, we all mature, we all get life experience that we can either benefit from or not. And the experience that I had this time was so wonderful, so lovely, so grateful. And I'm starting to say so 100,000 times, but I'm just the gratitude that I have in my heart for those that put that event together. It was a lot of hard work, and everyone that made an effort to come and to be open and curious and kind and generous. It's it's a game changer when you feel good enough, when you feel that you are okay. And so you come into a situation where in previous years you may have had that kind of in the pit of your stomach. If you do the work, yeah, life experience and wisdom will help you. But if you want to like bypass that, you don't have to spend, another lifetime of experience to get to that point where I just described. You have a way to get around that, to get ahead of it, and not have to wait for the years to pile up, to have that perspective, have that openness, have that acceptance in your heart that everyone there is unique and beautiful. And what a joy it is to see those that you love and get to know others that you never had a chance to do before. The third way is to be open to the experience, to not put any preconceived expectations of outcome on the event. Don't attach an emotional expectation of an outcome to the event. Oh, I'm going to get there and it's going to be awful. Well, guess what? Abracadabra, you just said it. Your words are powerful. What are you speaking to yourself? I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to have a miserable time. Yeah, you are. That's just the way it goes. Now, sometimes you can be surprised. You can have, a miserable encounter, but then there might be something else that surprises you unexpectedly. I would hold space for that for you. But don't expect it to be awful. Look at it from the framework, reframe your thought into this is going to be a really wonderful experience. I'm going to learn and grow and really connect with the people that I want to connect with, and I'm going to find new people to connect with. And it's going to be a lovely experience. Yeah, Anahata. I know, I know. I hear you. I hear you. It's eh, you. Will you just do me a favor and try it one time? I don't know your experiences. I have no idea. I mean, I yes, I do have an idea for my coaching, but you, I don't know your thoughts. I don't know your experience, and I don't know what you came here to learn. But I do know that you will never learn and grow if you don't do something a little differently. It makes all the difference in the world, truly. Shifting that mindset from I don't have to play this scene anymore. The script that I'm reading, that I'm the lines that are being said are the same over and over again. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm rewriting this. I'm cutting this scene completely. I don't have to go through this again. And I won't. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be grateful for the opportunity. Give it a try. If you get stuck, if you follow along with what I've recommended and you still get stuck, reach out to me. I'm at thecrystalcoach.com. It's easy to remember. Or you can email me at mycrystalcoach@gmail.com. I'm going to switch gears now and go into some recommendations for stones and crystals that would support recognizing, doing something about it, and being open for situations in which we need to be in front of people or we need to be with people and we don't want to be because there's been something in the past that has prevented us from seeing ourselves as whole. This is all about you seeing yourself as whole. And how you perceive yourself is how others will perceive you. I've talked about this before. We are mirrors for one another. So think about it. Here's some crystals. All right. First thing that I picked up is one of my favorites. It's black kyanite. Black kyanite. I call this my Klingon cloaking device. So if you feel like you're going to be going into a really negative situation in that group, really negative situation, this kyanite is it's just a awesome protector. It almost puts you in a like an invisible bubble. And now that's fine, but if you want to be seen, you kind of have to allow the Klingon cloaking device to abate a bit so that others can see you. But I'm talking from an energetic level. Those who would send you negative energy or want to do you harm cannot. They can't get at you with black kyanite. So I'm in group situations, black kyanite, especially when you're not really sure. If you're just starting out and you don't, and you're listening to this podcast and going, well, okay, Anahata, I can start to do this, but I've never tried this before. Get yourself some black kyanite. You'll feel better. Epidote, Epidote. Epidote. Epidote is a really interesting vibration. It helps you to kind of curb out those negative thoughts and those self-depreciating thoughts that creep up. And, it's part of that triggering part that I was talking to you at first. I find that it's really very helpful to carry with you when you're feeling a little nervous about that. And it kind of keeps the egoic inner critic from taking over. So it's always good for that. That was epidote. And if you really want to start something different and start something new, here's a piece of petrified wood whose vibration is new beginnings. Petrified wood started out as a living tree, right? And then the tree died and minerals impregnated it, and it's now a rock, right? So it started something new. It's a new beginning. So if is that the vibration you want to put out there, is that I'm really, looking to start this relationship with myself, this relationship with others, and at this event, I'm going to start something new. I'm not running that same old program. I'm not reading from the same script. Petrified wood will help support that. Let's see here. Oh, this is called Nirvana quartz. It's found in the Himalayas, and it has probably some manganese in it because it's kind of pinky, but it's all lumpy, crumpy. It doesn't look very pretty because it was formed around other minerals in the earth that impeded on its ability to form in its actual molecular structure, which is hexagonal. Quartz is six-sided. The molecules are six-sided. Now, what's really cool about the vibration of nirvana quartz is that this is also known as interference quartz. It's that you can be okay with imperfection, that there's perfection in imperfection, because on an etheric level, this quartz is perfectly formed in the molecular program that it was set for. But in the physical form, it wasn't allowed to be that way. But it's still perfect. Perfection and imperfection. So if that is one of the thoughts that keeps coming up for you, is that, oh, this isn't right, or I'm not good enough, or you have to be perfect to be nirvana quartz, get you some. You can probably find it at a gem and mineral store or online. This is not something that regular rock shops would probably carry unless it was a really big one. Oh, this is what I've showed you before. This is called bumblebee jasper. And the frequency of bumblebee jasper is, don't worry, be happy. So if you're dreading this, if you're nervous about it, if you just, oh my God, this reminds you, don't worry, be happy. I was going to say something else, but like giving no, but yeah, don't worry, be happy. So that's bumblebee jasper. Oh, that's epidote. I had two pieces of it. This is my go-to stone. Does anybody know what this is? If you've been following me for a while, you will know, because I've used it before, because it's kind of like an all-purpose rock. This is black tourmaline. Black tourmaline transmutes negativity into clear light. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's one of my go-to stones. I always usually have it on my person or in my purse or near me, because it's just that good. And it helps to ground you too, because you can't really be present for yourself or present for others if you're not in your body. And if you're all up in your head and you're not in your body, it's not going to work out well. Okay. We're getting to the close to the end here. This is aquamarine. Aquamarine, lovely light blue, blue-green stone, crystal, actually, it's a crystal. And this one I love. I don't know if you can see it. It's got these self-healed little triangles around it. That's where it got broken off, and then You know, did you know crystals still continue to grow? We can't see that because it's kind of a glacier pace, but they do. They continue to grow. And so this is all about self healing, self care, and I'm talking about the fact that it's got new growth on it. The stone itself, the frequency of this is about release. So if you're holding on to something that you really want to let go of, aquamarine is your go-to stone because it helps to kind of flush that out and let it go, release it. You don't need to hold on to it. It's not yours in the first place. Last but not least, love yourself. Rose quartz, the vibration of love. Love yourself. If you love yourself enough, then you have more than enough love for others. So if you think you have to gain love by giving all of what you have and all the love you have to others and not to yourself, your well's going to run dry. And then what are you going to do? And all the people that you've been carrying around on pink cotton will wonder what the heck's going on. And then if you're not giving them what they want, they won't be around. Why not love yourself first? Love yourself. This goes out to my sister. Love yourself. So that is all the stones and crystals I have to support the triggers and opportunities at reunions or any kind of other gathering where you feel nervous or anxious or dread having to run into people that you don't like. Don't let that stop you from having a good time. And if you get stuck working on it, reach out, because I'm here, and that's what I do. I'm now down to one show a month now. I've been doing this podcast for over a year. I can't even believe it. It's been great. It's been wonderful. I love the Transformation Talk Radio Network. And all the people that are involved in it and the people that I've encountered through this, and my producer, Emily, I love you. You're great. And Dr. Pat, Linda, Erica, all those folks, they're wonderful. So I've started a new round, and I am down to the third Monday of the month. So I'm no longer on the first Mondays, just the third Mondays of the month at noon Central, 10 Pacific. And I hope that I'll see you next time on the Crystal Coach Show. Bye for now. You have been listening to the Crystal Coach Show, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. With me, your host, Anahata. Tune in every first and third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love on The Crystal Coach Show. For more information and to become the best version of yourself, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com. See you next time.